Welcome to the deep dive. Settle in because today I want you to imagine stepping right into the announcer's booth with
Oh,
us.
yeah. Best seat in the house.
Seriously.
Yeah.
But this isn't your standard press box, you know? We are hovering inside a massive 210-foot magical transparent dome.
Right. Just looking straight down through the glass floor at the lower level.
Exactly. You crane your neck up at the upper layer and the action is just buzzing everywhere. This is a 340-year-old game we're talking about. Four-dimensional hockey. Manaball.
Players flying, hovering, diving with enchanted mana boots. It's wild.
It really is. So today's mission for you, we have pulled the all-22 game tape,
Right.
the tactical heat maps, and the post-game locker room interviews.
Oh, good stuff.
We've got everything to bring you a comprehensive breakdown of Game 15, that highly anticipated clash between the home team Azure Bears and the visiting Golden Eagles.
Massive matchup.
Huge. We're going to call the pivotal moments with the energy of a live broadcast while breaking down the tactical masterclass the Bears used to defend their home turf. So let's set the stage here.
Yeah. The stakes for Game 15 were just monumental, particularly for the home team.
Because the Azure Bears were trying to gain momentum late in the season, right?
Exactly. They've had a notoriously up and down year, struggling to find a consistent rhythm. And tonight, they were staring down their exact tactical nightmare.
The Golden Eagles.
Yes. A team renowned across the league for turning every single match into a high-speed, chaotic, offensive firefight.
They just don't stop.
They're relentless.
Yeah.
They don't just want to beat you, they want to exhaust you. So when those two teams hit the dome, you had two fundamentally contrasting philosophies colliding head-on.
A total clash of identities. I mean, looking at the tactical heat maps we brought in, you can clearly see those differing philosophies and how they use the vertical space.
Oh, the heat maps tell the whole story.
Right. Because the Azure Bears live by one rigid motto: structure wins games. They stick to that highly disciplined 2-2-2 formation.
That's two strikers, two centers, and two defenders for anyone keeping track.
Yeah, and what jumps out on the data is how stubborn they are about holding the neutral plane, that semi-solid magical middle layer.
They barely touch the upper layer.
Only if they're clearing a penalty pass.
Yeah.
And they use the lower layer strictly for defensive disruption. So why are the Bears so incredibly committed to that middle ground when they have a 210-foot dome to play in?
It all comes down to their identity as a system-first team.
Mm.
The Bears believe that if they control the neutral plane, they control the tempo of the entire match.
They don't want to get into a track meet.
Exactly. By keeping their two centers and two strikers anchored in that middle layer, they create a dense thicket of sticks and bodies. It allows for pristine puck movement and cycling.
But historically, that rigid structure is vulnerable.
Highly vulnerable to exactly what the Golden Eagles bring to the table.
Yeah.
The Eagles run that wildly aggressive 3-2 offense.
3 strikers, 2 centers, and only 1 defender right.
Right. They sacrifice defensive depth to put 3 strikers in the air. They dominate the upper layer with these plunging dive shots and massive aerial cross passes.
It's explicitly designed to overwhelm positional grounded play.
Because it forces defenders to constantly track threats from above. You're always looking up.
Which really set up the narrative hook for the entire game for you listening. Could the Eagles' relentless flying speed shatter the Bears' disciplined structure?
That was the big question.
Because reading through the scouting reports, the Bears had a relatively new variable in play. She had a massive breakout game against the Crimson Tigers just a week prior.
Oh, yeah. Minna.
Their guardian. Game 15 was going to be her real test.
Minna's approach in the Guardian Circle fundamentally altered how the Bears could deploy their 2-2-2 formation tonight.
Because usually against a heavy aerial assault, a Guardian requires their defenders to step up, right?
Exactly. They need them to move into the neutral plane or even the upper layer to contest those dive shots, which completely pulls the whole system out of alignment.
But Minna's recent performances showed this incredible stabilizing calmness.
She tracks the mana orb flawlessly through three-dimensional space. The Bears already had the tactical system in place. They just needed a Guardian who wouldn't panic and demand extra coverage when the chaos started raining down.
And man, did the chaos come early. Let's put ourselves right into the action. The house banners are drifting through the artificial air currents above the field.
The crowd inside the Azure Dome is absolutely deafening.
The head arbiter moves to center dome. The mana orb is dropped into the neutral plane for the opening face-off. The whistle blows, and Game 15 is officially underway.
And the Golden Eagles waste zero time.
None at all.
They immediately test the airspace probing to see if Minna is actually ready for a top-tier offensive barrage, or if that Crimson Tigers game was just a fluke.
They come out surging. We are shifting right into broadcast gear here. The Eagles win the opening draw and immediately push the pace.
Samurai Jack Jeffrey has it.
He threads a blistering aerial pass. Striker Addie Lum collects it. She is carving through the airspace.
She climbs steep right up into the upper layer.
Finds her angle and launches a sharp, incredibly dangerous spike shot downward toward the goal ring.
Blocked cleanly by Minna.
What a save. But the Eagles aren't done. The rebound kicks out. Striker Mac Blackwood fights through a heavy check along the arcane glass.
He lines up a powerful drive shot right from the neutral plane.
He fires.
Another spectacular save by Minna.
She absorbs the impact and completely kills the play.
If we pause the action right there and look at the tape, you can see the Eagles' strategy unfolding exactly as drawn up.
Deliberately attacking from multiple vertical layers in rapid succession.
Right. By forcing the Bears' defenders to look up at Addie Lum in the upper layer and then immediately track down to Mac Blackwood in the neutral plane, they are trying to stretch that disciplined zone defense until it snaps.
But watch Mana Minna on the replay. She is an impenetrable wall.
Her positioning is so fundamentally sound that the Bears' defenders realize they don't have to overcommit.
They can just stick to their strict zones. It's like she is the anchor holding the entire ship steady in a hurricane.
And because Minna holds that line, the Bears are able to launch a counterstrike midway through the first period.
The Eagles are pushing hard, maybe get a little too greedy in the offensive zone.
Bears center Freya Kroon reads the play perfectly.
She has unbelievable vision. Kroon intercepts a blind pass right near her center dome. She immediately transitions.
Threads the mana orb seamlessly between two Eagles players.
Right onto the crystal stick of striker Chris Aaron. Aaron doesn't hesitate. He fires a lightning-quick snapshot past the Eagles' guardian, Blake Anderson.
It's in.
Goal, 1-0 Azure Bears.
That goal is a masterclass in positional patience. Kroon didn't force the turnover. She just occupied the passing lane and waited for the Eagles to make a mistake.
And this connects to the bigger psychological shift that happens when a high-speed team falls behind early right.
Absolutely. Suddenly, the Golden Eagles find themselves chasing the game. They are down 1-0, and their natural instinct is to push even harder, to fly even faster, to take riskier dive vectors.
Wait, but if the Eagles know the Bears are just camping in the neutral plane, why not adjust? Why not overload the lower layer and attack from below, instead of continually diving from the upper layer where the Bears expect it?
Because they are trapped by their own personnel and their own identity. When you run a 3-2 offense, your strikers are physically and magically conditioned for upper layer combat.
Right, their mana boots are tuned for steep dives.
Exactly, not the heavy, grinding upward ascents required from the lower layer. Plus, falling behind triggers panic.
And when a fast team panics, they don't invent a new playbook.
They just try to execute their old playbook faster.
Yeah.
And by doing that, they fall right into the Bears' trap.
Which brings us to the second period, and this is where the game tape gets genuinely fascinating.
The physics of the dome really start to show here.
Yes. To understand why the Eagles start to look so sluggish, we need to talk to you about mana gravity. We know the magical stabilization field gently pulls everything players and the orb alike toward the neutral plane.
Right, so if you are in the upper layer, you're constantly fighting a downward drift.
And the tactical implication of mana gravity over a 60-minute game is massive. The Eagles rely on dominating the upper layer for their aerial attacks.
Which means their players are constantly burning extra magical energy from their boots.
And physical stamina from their core just to fight that downward pull and maintain their altitude.
Meanwhile, the Azure Bears are hovering patiently in the neutral plane, letting the stabilization field do the work for them.
They are expending almost zero maintenance energy. So doesn't that make the Eagles' upper layer strategy inherently exhausting? Why would any coach rely on a system that burns so much extra energy just to stay in position?
It is a calculated gamble. The Golden Eagles' philosophy is built on the idea of early overwhelming force. They bet that they can score 3 or 4 goals in the first period before the fatigue sets in.
They want to break your spirit early.
Exactly. But when you run into a guardian like Mana Minna who refuses to break that gamble, backfires spectacularly.
By the second period, you are seeing the physical toll of that mana gravity on the Eagle strikers.
You really do see it playing out. The broadcast energy in the second period is incredibly tense.
The Eagles are launching relentless waves of attacks, but the speed is just a fraction of a second slower. Addie Lum is using every ounce of her remaining burst speed to create chances off the rush.
Mac Blackwood is throwing his weight around, battling physically right near the 8 by 6 foot goal ring.
The Eagles are swarming the slot, but every single attempt meets the exact same fate.
Minna, tracking the orb, cutting off the angle, and smothering the shot.
And because Minna is absorbing all that pressure without giving up rebounds, the Bears are able to dictate the tempo.
They stop trading chances and start executing their signature offensive maneuver.
Oh, the post-game heat maps of this specific sequence are a thing of beauty. They initiate the bear spiral.
It is masterful to watch.
For anyone who hasn't seen it broken down, picture the geometry. The Bears' centers rotate possession continuously along the outside transparent dome barriers,
While the strikers shift back and forth across the high slot.
they're basically playing an agonizing game of keep away. And against a 3-2 formation, it is devastating.
It is devastating because the Eagles only have one true defender on the field, Natalie Matthews.
The bear spiral completely isolates her.
She has to chase the orb from the boards to the slot, back to the boards. The moment she overcommits to a center on the glass, the passing lane to the striker in the middle opens up.
The Bears' structure essentially suffocates the Eagles' chaos. By cycling the orb, the Bears force the Eagles to burn even more energy just chasing shadows.
And the result of that meticulous cycling.
Let's call the play. Freya Kroon is orchestrating the possession sequence beautifully along the boards. She waits stick handling calmly, watching the Eagles' defense stretch just a little too thin.
Matthews takes half a step toward the glass.
Kroon zips a crisp no-look pass right through the neutral plane. Striker Dial Elfkyle receives it in stride
He winds up.
and unleashes a devastatingly powerful snapshot past Blake Anderson. It catches the top corner of the arcane net, 2-0 Azure Bears.
The crowd is in a frenzy.
That is system Manaball executed at its highest level.
The Eagles increase their pressure. They burn their energy reserves trying to force a turnover, and instead they got carved apart by simple geometry.
That second goal was a profound gut punch. You could see the body language of the Golden Eagles shift.
They were facing a disciplined team that refused to break formation, backed by a guardian having a career-defining night.
Coming out of that second intermission, you have to imagine the Eagles' locker room is in full panic mode.
They're down 2-0, their mana boots are running low on ambient charge, and the clock is suddenly their worst enemy.
We are entering the desperation period. Period 3.
This is where the lack of positional discipline from the Eagles transitions from a strategic choice into a fatal flaw.
Desperate for a breakthrough, they abandon what little defensive structure they had left.
They push all 5 skaters forward, trying to completely overwhelm the neutral plane and crash the goal ring. It stops being a tactical match and becomes a pure endurance test.
And it leads to the single most heart-stopping sequence of the entire game.
Oh, I know exactly which play you're talking about.
Let's set the scene. We are deep in the third period. The Eagles are in full aggressive mode, swarming the Bear zone. Center Jack Jeffrey finds a sliver of space near the flight band.
He slips a brilliant threading pass right through the Bears' defensive line.
Addie Lum is cutting hard, diving aggressively on a steep vector toward the goal ring. She catches the pass right on her crystal stick and fires a point-blank shot instantly.
It looks like a guaranteed goal. The crowd holds its breath.
But Minna extends her blocker and makes an unbelievable logic-defying save.
A point-blank robbery.
Yeah.
The Azure Dome erupts.
If you watch the locker room interviews, even the Eagles players admitted that save was the turning point.
When you are a fast, aggressive team and you execute your absolute best play, you find the open ice, you get the shot off pristine.
And you still get robbed by the Guardian.
It shatters your morale. That save entirely deflated the Eagles' momentum. They had thrown their heaviest punch, and it barely left a bruise.
And the Bears know exactly how to capitalize on a broken spirit. The moment Minna makes that save and covers the orb, you see a complete shift in the Bears' posture.
They don't try to force a fast break.
They immediately transition into their discipline zone collapse. They physically drop down into the lower layer.
They clog up the middle, shut off every passing lane, and fiercely protect the slot.
They are slowly, methodically choking the life out of the Eagles' offense.
This is the hidden value of the 2-2-2 formation late in the game. They have the defensive personnel, 2 dedicated defenders, and 2 two-way centers to simply absorb the remaining minutes.
They let the Eagles fly around in the upper layer all they want.
As long as the Eagles are forced to the perimeter and kept safely out of high-danger scoring range, The Bears are content to let the clock run.
And then comes the dagger, the final blow to seal the shutout.
The Eagles are scrambling, throwing wild checks, trying to force a turnover.
Bears defender Kenny Brodnoxie anchors the defensive stand deep in his own zone. He forces a critical turnover against Blackwood along the boards, looks upfield, and launches a massive booming outlet pass all the way down the flight band.
Center Rachel Aubergine accelerates, collects the orb flawlessly in stride.
She is on a breakaway, one-on-one with the Guardian.
She fires a blistering shot.
Into the net, 3-0 Azure Bears. The noise in the arena is absolutely deafening.
That insurance goal was the final nail. From that moment on, the Bears just collapsed into an impenetrable defensive shell.
They bled out the final minutes of the clock with meticulous precision. The Eagles barely managed to register another shot on goal.
And the final horn sounds. The shutout remains completely intact.
A 3-0 victory for the Azure Bears over the Golden Eagles.
What a statement. Okay, let's take a breath and review the post-game analysis with you.
When you look at the final doc score, the raw numbers tell a wild story.
Yeah, the Golden Eagles actually outshot the Bears 29-25. But the undisputed stat of the night belongs to Manaball. 29 shots against, 29 saves.
A flawless 1.000 save percentage against one of the fastest, most dangerous offenses in the entire league.
It's an astonishing statistical achievement, especially considering the shot quality she was facing in the first period.
On the other side of the ledger, Eagles Guardian Blake Anderson finishes with an .880 save percentage, letting in 3 goals on 25 shots.
Now, Anderson didn't play a terrible game, but when you were at the other end of the rink, facing a goalie who is saving literally everything, the margin for error completely evaporates.
Every mistake feels magnified.
Absolutely.
So synthesizing all of this tape, the heat maps, the momentum shifts. What does this mean for the rest of the season? What is the big takeaway from Game 15?
The broader league implication here is massive. This game is a glaring warning sign broadcast to every other team in Manheim Academy.
But because the Azure Bears already possess the most disciplined tactical system in the league.
Right, their structural integrity was never the issue. Their only real historical vulnerability was chaos. They tended to crack when teams like the Eagles forced them into high-speed, unpredictable scrambles.
But by finding this game-changing, stabilizing presence in net with Manaball, they might have just solved their one and only weakness.
If she can consistently neutralize that airborne chaos and allow the defenders to hold their zones, the Bears' structure makes them a terrifying, potentially unstoppable contender.
I completely agree. It fundamentally rewrites how opposing coaches have to prepare for them. You can't just try to outrun the bear spiral anymore.
You really can't.
Which leaves us with a final provocative thought for you to mull over. We spent this entire deep dive talking about a sport defined by 3-dimensional freedom where players can fly to the top of a 30-foot dome and attack from the sky.
And we just watched a grounded, strictly structured team neutralize all that speed.
Exactly. But if the Bears have truly created the ultimate defensive blueprint with this system, what happens when they face a team that decides speed isn't the answer?
That's an interesting thought.
What happens when a team decides to use heavy concentrated magic to manipulate the mana gravity itself? Are we about to see an arms race of environmental manipulation just to break the suffocating grip of the neutral plane?
Does structure always inevitably defeat raw speed, or are we about to see a whole new vertical strategy?
Something for you to think about the next time you look up at the dome. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive, and we'll catch you next time.